Working at a theme park, you can't help but get a lot of things. And yes, I've collected a lot of things working at the parks. Here's a look at some of the different things that I've managed to keep and collect over the years from working at Busch Gardens, Disney World, and Silver Dollar City. One of the things, if you spend any time working at a theme park or amusement park, that you can't help but have happen is you tend to be given a lot of different things. And when you love your job and you love where you're working, you don't just get what you're given. You tend to look for all sorts of other things to be able to grab and keep and record and hoard in some ways. Yes, my family calls me a hoarder. And a lot of it is kind of priceless memories. You've seen glimpses at some of the different things that I've managed to keep over the years, but I wanted to give you a little look at what's probably not so untypical for a cast member, especially a Disney one. Because you love your job, you tend to get all sorts of things and keep it from your time working. So if you've been watching my videos, you've seen a little look, and you'll see a couple things hanging behind me. One of my other videos, you probably saw my costume. Now, you're not supposed to keep your costumes when you work at Disney, but the way I ended up resigning was a little different. Instead of quitting and walking in and handing in my stuff, I had actually moved and went on to what's called a seasonal status, where I was hoping to be able to go back in about 6 months and spend a week working, which meant I got to keep my costume. Unfortunately, things didn't work out and I never got to go back. I didn't steal it either, because I had worked at Disney for 5 years. A lot of my costumes were old, and Disney after 2 to 3 years will actually write off the costumes because they figure they're worn out. Well, after 5 years there, some of my stuff was old. And so it had already been written out of the system. Everything that I have, Disney didn't even have a record of anymore. They had written off completely. So I managed to keep my vest. That wasn't the only costume I had, though. For winter, and yes, Florida does occasionally get some winter. It does occasionally get cold. I also have my fleece jacket. And these are warm. I have to admit, I had to laugh when I pulled this out the other day, though. It was looking, make sure everything was good, and happened to reach in and went, oh, look! Hot hands! Yes, I still have my hot hands from Disney. Is that pitiful or what? Unfortunately, Busch Gardens, I didn't get to keep any of those, and now that Rhino Rally is gone, I really wish I'd had one of my shirts. Silver Dollar City, the conductor outfits, they kept every part of that. Our robber outfits, I've still got the bib overalls. I've still got a couple of the old shirts. I don't have the hat. That got to stay out there. But yes, I can still definitely dress up and look like one of the robbers from Silver Dollar City. But you would also get all sorts of other little things. One of the things, if you ever work at Disney, that every Disney cast member gets is pins. Lots of pins. Especially if you like pins. And yes, I like pins. And so I keep mine, for the most part, on this vest. And you can see I've got all sorts of them on the front. I've also got, and it's heavy, all sorts of them on the back. Never filled the thing up, but that's not all I have. In the pockets, I've got more pins. Special edition pins, pin trader pins. This pocket over here, these are the cast member exclusives. There's a Year of a Million Dreams lanyard with pins. There's a cast member exclusive for you. Now there's various different things you can get pins for. Maybe you went over to the Disney Learning Center. Anytime you step into a Disney Learning Center, they would give you a pin. The tour company, when they promoted that, everybody got an Adventures by Disney pin. And you would constantly get pins and find ways to get them cheap and on the side. If you went to the salsa sale, you would get more pins. You could get a grab bag for $10, and that'd be a great way to get pins cheap. Instead of paying $6 each, you could pay $1.50. So pins were huge. You may have also noticed I've got my old photopass bag there, my Mickey ears from different tours, but I've also got a number of other things. If you don't mind, I'm going to kind of take the camera up instead of leaving it stable for once. I'm going to give you a glimpse into my hoarding life that my family gives me such a bad time about. First off, set up here on my desk from one of my other videos, you can see a look at some of the photopass cards I've got there. Those are all old photopass cards, different series, different ones that were used for different events. That's my stack of main gates, and yes, even park tickets. I reach down, yes, park tickets. Lots and lots of used park tickets. I think I kept just about every ticket that we ever got in the park. So you get a little look there, and then I've got this box. Now, this box may not necessarily look like much until you get down and you look a little bit closer. You may have heard me talk about the Walk in the Parks, and I've got all sorts of editions of those in there. I have picture portfolios that are in there with no pictures in them now. They're just empty. I have picture proof sets from, say, The Lion King. And we could get these occasionally at the salsa sales, and they would have all sorts of prints and pictures in them. So I have several of those in here. But the biggest thing that you're seeing, all of these magazines, these are all copies of Eyes and Ears. This is the Disney cast member magazine that would give you news, tell you about what's going on, highlight different cast members and what they're doing. And I tried to keep as many of those as possible. I didn't get every single copy while I was working, but in 5 years, I got a lot of them. And there would be a new one of those about every 2 weeks or so. In fact, I've been collecting these so long, I actually have some of the old black and white ones before they start printing them in color. So you can kind of see what they used to look like versus what the newer ones are like now. The very first color one was actually Pirates of the Caribbean in celebration of the movie. But here's where it starts getting really bad. You can see the box there with more stuff in it, including things from other parks. But this file cabinet, 4 drawers, is full of theme park stuff. Not all of it from working, but a lot of it is. And I pulled open a couple drawers here. That whole file there, everything in there all the way down. This is all telecasts. These are what we would use to keep our show guides and schedules and all the information we need while we're working. That whole file is just different telecasts from different parks. There's one from Star Wars Weekends for you. That is also all theme park things. And there's a few things in here from Silver Dollar City. You can see SeaWorld poking up. But most of my work-related things in here is going to be in here. Now, if you're looking at all this and going, what on earth do you keep that fills up that much? I keep park brochures. I keep park maps of every park I've been to. And a bunch I haven't been to. I keep advertisements. I keep things that they've mailed to us. For Disney, I actually have a whole folder here. And you can see it right there. Disney World employment. And when I pull this folder out, you can see there's a QA training guide that's there. I've got things about starting out work. I actually have my original earning my ears for my name tag. There are things in here that talk about safety at the park, my traditions book, IDs, newsreels, all sorts of stuff in there that's just all dedicated to working at Disney World. People want to know about disabilities? Yes, we have a whole booklet that we go through in training that is just about disabilities and how to deal with them and how to help guests with them and so forth. I also have some things from Busch Gardens. When I worked there, it is right here. And you'll see that one's really thick. In Busch Gardens, there's something you can't find anymore. That is a whole script for the Rhino Rally ride. This is what its drivers we would memorize and use. Hey, look, there's one of my schedules on the back of that. Bulletins, this is kind of like the Main Street Diary, except for Busch, talking about things that are coming up and great guest service and different things like that. Operating procedure book for Rhino Rally. There's something else that doesn't exist anymore. Facts about animals and all sorts of other things like that. Cornerstones is Busch Gardens' version of traditions. So this is your welcome to the company. Here's what we do. Here's what we're about. This was during the time when Anheuser-Busch ran the parks, and it was different than now. There was such a great atmosphere at the time, and you could see just in how much emphasis they put into this. And so all sorts of different things in there. Yes, I kept it all. But you would also find yourself gathering all sorts of souvenirs. Posters, prints. In fact, this was in one of the bags. Here, I'm going to unroll it for you now, and that way you can get a little look. I've got a few of these. They need to be pressed out and flattened again. But give you an idea of some of the different things that we would get. So yes, I am a hoarder. I keep my stuff. It's terrible. Pray for my hoarding abilities. More magnets. There's actually more things up on top there. Oh, and of course I almost forgot. Some of my favorite things I kept from all my jobs. My name tags. Yes, I've actually still got my name tags from all 3 of the parks. So when I was driving at Rhino Rally, I have George. But the neat thing with Rhino Rally is we actually got to use nicknames sometimes. So there's Sir Willow. Yes, I really went by Sir Willow at work. I had another one too named Curious George as well. At Disney World, we had our regular tag. This was actually the second one I got. And it's got my name, my hometown in California, as well as my service pin. That's my 1-year pin. I didn't get the 5-year pin, even though I should have, because I ended up with a brief break in the middle of it, and so they didn't count my time. Kind of lame. And then at Silver Dollar City, I actually had a custom name tag made for me, so that way I could keep it. So I got to wear this while I was working at Silver Dollar City. Real nice memento. The one other thing, of course, that I have is also my lanyard. This is a cast member lanyard. The only way you can get this particular one is if you worked at Disney World. I had a couple others as well, but I just love the Pirate Mickey. I like the pirates. And then, of course, my ID card there. This is what we would use to get in security, so that way I can still show people who don't believe me, look, I really did work at Disney. It's sad what people don't believe sometimes. So as you can see, I've gathered a lot of things over the years. It would take me hours to actually go through, and I would probably have you bored to tears by looking at all this. And not every cast member or employee is going to keep anywhere near as much stuff as I do. If you're working at a park, there's a good chance you're not going to get as much stuff. But there are some people that have a whole lot more than me. But I love my jobs, and so I try to keep all sorts of different things to help me remember it. I just enjoy getting the things. Even now, I still like to sit back and drive my kids and wife nuts a little bit and start looking back, and there's a reason they made me move it all over to my work office instead of keeping it at home. It's such a tragedy. I think I've been rejected. But I love my collection. Maybe some point I'll go through all the pins with you. There's about 150 pins, I think, is what I have. Wouldn't mind getting more. Hey, send me pins. I like pins. It's a wonderful way to keep the memories alive. So if you ever do work in a park, be prepared to get lots of stuff and figure out now what you're going to do with it and how you're going to keep it. Thanks for letting me share this with you. I hope you enjoyed it.